Hello everyone. Are you planning to conduct and publish a systematic review but not sure from where to start? Then welcome to my talk on conducting and publishing a systematic review. I'm Masuma Parveen Mishu. I'm a public health researcher and a lecturer based at University College London. So far, I have published 5 systematic reviews, but I was so confused when I first conducted my systematic review. I was not sure from where I should start and how I'm going to complete this whole process. Later, I did some trainings and understood about the step-by-step process of how to manage conducting a systematic review, and I'm going to share my experience with you in this introductory video. So let's get started. These are the 10 steps that I have listed, following which you can chunk your huge task of conducting the systematic review into manageable pieces. Hopefully, you will find these steps helpful. So the first step here is the background literature review and develop your research question. So that's the first thing, isn't it? So you need to have your research question, specific research question ready on which you are going to conduct this systematic review, the evidence that you want to generate. So definitely it's your area of interest which will determine what's your research question or area of interest that you are going to address in this systematic review. First, you need to do the background literature search to see what are the existing evidence based out there and what is the gap in evidence and what you want to contribute in the literature through your systematic review. So these will determine your research question and it need to be very specific. We usually follow the PICO framework to define the research questions. PICO is the population. If it's the intervention kind of study, then I is the intervention. What are the intervention that you want to test? And C is the comparator. What are the comparator group you want to assess? And O is the outcome. What's your main outcome of interest that you want to assess in your systematic review? Then when you have your specific research question defined, then you'll move to the next step of preparing the study protocol. Protocol is kind of recipe book where you will write down everything, the step-by-step process that you are going to follow to conduct your systematic review. So it will include outlining the main study aim and objectives. It can be one aim or you can have one primary aim, one secondary aim, and some specific objectives. Then defining the inclusion and exclusion criteria based on the research question. So these need to be predefined so that at the stage of data screening, you will not get lost if you have specific inclusion and exclusion criteria. Again, this will be determined by your PICO framework maybe. So what's the population, the age group that you want to include, the intervention, kind of intervention that you are going to include, what are the outcomes that you are going to include for your study. Sometimes you can set up the inclusion criteria based on the language. For example, only the study published in English language will be included. It can be also the year. You can set up a cutoff year that the study published after these years were included in the study. So you need to clearly define your inclusion and exclusion criteria before moving to the actually conducting the systematic search in the literature. And then selecting the database based on your area. You will select the databases that you are going to search for your systematic review. As I'm in the public health field, most of my systematics review that I have conducted, I did searches in Medline, Ovid Medline, Embase, Cochrane Library, so the PsycInfo. These are the and some other related databases. So it depends on your discipline. You need to select, and you can also have a talk with your librarian from your educational institute that which databases would be suitable to search for your area of research or your research question. And again, if you're conducting the systematic review for your MSc dissertation, check with the guidelines, like at least 2 or 3 databases. There might be some guidelines that you need to search for conducting a systematic review, so you need to meet that guideline. But definitely we want to, for research purpose, want to make these searches as comprehensive as possible, but within the remit of the logistical supports and everything, available resources, we should consider those as well. Then developing the search strategy and also adapting the search strategy based on the different databases that you are selecting to run your searches. Usually at the university, the librarians, they are very helpful for developing the search strategy, but also there are some guidelines of developing the search strategy, and it will be discussed in a separate video. Then plan for data extraction and make data extraction template. So before going for the database search, you need to have a rough idea of what kind of data that you are going to extract. And if there is already any existing systematic review on this area that you want to update it, you can take a look at their paper, how they presented their results, so that you will get an idea of what data to extract from your study. And these are all the planning stage that I'm describing. And also data synthesis plan. You can have a rough plan how you're going to synthesize your data. So when all this preparation of writing the protocol is ready, then you should write your systematic review protocol, detailed protocol, and ideally you should register it. You can register it in Prospero. And it's a good academic practice to register your systematic review protocol. Now I'm in step 4. So when you have registered your protocol, then you need to now crack on with actual searching the different databases. So you need to perform the literature search in different databases based on the search strategy that you developed. And after running the searches in different databases, you need to import the search result to your library. I usually use EndNote. You might use Mendeley or other software. That's absolutely fine. And then in EndNote or other software or the systematic review management, other tool that you are using, you need to deduplicate your studies, because from different database searches you might get some studies which are duplicate study. So you need to deduplicate the study first. And then you need to move to step 5, which is the screening step, and it's divided into 2 parts. One is the title abstract screening, and second is the full text screening. So at this stage, as I mentioned, you need to have your clear inclusion and exclusion criteria. Based on your inclusion and exclusion criteria, at this stage, you are now doing the screening of your study. First stage, you are reading the title and the abstract, and if you see that it's not meeting your inclusion criteria, then you will exclude that study. And when you will finish all title abstract screening, you will get a list of studies which will move to the next stage for the full text screening. You need to get the full text, full article of that study, and need to read it carefully, again based on your inclusion and exclusion criteria, and see whether this study is actually going to include in your systematic review. And third, you can prepare your Prisma study selection flowchart at this stage, because now you know how many studies you have identified from different database search, and how many studies you have excluded at the duplication stage, how many studies you have excluded at the title abstract screening stage, and how many studies you have excluded in the full text screening stage. At the full text screening stage, you need to write the reason why you are excluding that study. So at this stage, you are ready to prepare your Prisma study selection flowchart. Then when you have your list of finally included studies, you will move to the next stage of data extraction. As I mentioned, if you have a kind of template of data extraction, and you can use this data extraction template for extracting your data. And then when you finished data extraction, you will move to the next stage of risk of bias assessment or quality assessment of the included studies. There are different tools for using for conducting the risk of bias assessment, and based on the study design, you need to select the appropriate tool for risk of bias assessment of your included studies. And then after conducting the risk of bias assessment, you need to move to the data synthesis stage, stage 8, and you need to plan like how, based on the data that you got, you will see whether you will be able to do a meta-analysis, because for conducting a meta-analysis, you need to get similar kind of studies, similar kind of outcomes, so that you can conduct a meta-analysis. If not, then you might only need to conduct the narrative synthesis of your study result. After data synthesis, now you have conducted most of the method sections, method parts, and your results tables are ready. Your result is ready, so it's the time for writing up your systematic review, where you will write the background section, method sections that you conducted, study result, tables of the result, tables and figures of the risk of bias assessment, and then you need to prepare your manuscript based on the journal that you are targeting to publish. And then the final step, step 10, when you are very happy with your manuscript, you will proceed to the step of submitting it to a journal and hopefully publish your systematic review. So this is, in a nutshell, the introductory video of just briefly describing the different steps of conducting a systematic review. I will create separate videos for each of these sections, where I'll share the detailed information of how to conduct it and show it with example, the systematic review that I conducted, and also I'll try to share some resources. Hope you found this introductory video helpful, at least to get an idea to plan like what are the steps you are expected to complete to conduct a systematic review and publish it. Hope you find this video helpful. Thank you. Bye.